Welcome back. Time for Sport Now. Here's Joe.
Sahil, thank you very much. Well, we start with some breaking news out of Japan, where organisers of the Tokyo Olympics have just confirmed that overseas fans will not be allowed to attend. It doesn't come as a surprise, as several reports in recent weeks suggested the Japanese government had already made up its mind. The main reason for blocking foreign supporters is to reduce the risk of spreading coronavirus. The Games have already been delayed by 1 year because of the pandemic. Well, let's bring in British Olympian Lutalo Mohammed in Manchester, who will be competing in Taekwondo at the Tokyo Games. Lutalo, overseas fans won't be able to come and watch you compete. How does that make you feel?
Well, I think it was probably to be expected. We've had such an unusual year with, the COVID pandemic that I guess it kind of makes sense, but it definitely will be different. For me, one of the biggest things about an Olympics is having that support, flying from home, obviously family and friends. So an Olympics without that is going to be weird, but let's face it, it's been a very weird year.
It really has. And what about the Japanese fans? I know that you were telling me earlier that you're expecting a specific atmosphere when you get there from them.
Yes, I mean, the Japanese fans are notorious for being very quiet and very polite. It's like small influxes of excitement, then it goes very quiet again. So I'm very fortunate to have competed in Japan before, so I'll be used to it, but I think it's going to be a bit of a culture shock for many Olympians who have been at previous sports events. It's going to be a bit different. However, it is what it is. I'm just very happy and grateful that the Olympics is happening, and why not? Why not? Different doesn't always mean bad.
It certainly doesn't. Well, there's been a lot of talk about the athletes being vaccinated before they get to Tokyo. What's your own situation? Will you be vaccinated? And has Team GB said anything to you about vaccinating the team?
I will not be getting vaccinated. The message I have received from Team GB is that there will be no mandatory vaccine. I'm of the mindset that is not necessary. I have full confidence in the Japanese organizing committee, the IOC, and Team GB to make this the safest, cleanest environment that there's ever been for an Olympics in history. With the global pandemic situation, I think we can all expect that. So I don't think the vaccine will be made mandatory for the athletes, because I think the Japanese organizing committee is going to do everything they can. We've just seen what they're doing with the foreign fans not being allowed to come in. They're going to do everything they can to make sure it's safe for all the athletes.
We spoke to you at the end of last year about training in this pandemic. You've been quite lucky. You've been able to train, but some athletes haven't been able to train. They haven't had the access to facilities. So are you concerned about the Tokyo Olympics being a level playing field?
I think it's going to be a real concern. We are right now currently seeing a third wave going across Europe. I believe Paris and some areas of France are going to be shut down for 1 month. I know Italy is now going back into a lockdown, or maybe in a lockdown already. So that's going to affect many athletes across the globe, not just in Europe. I know Toronto and some parts of Canada. So these are big nations who we normally expect to win big medals at the Olympics. My heart goes out to those athletes who their training schedule, which has already been massively affected, is going to be even more affected. We are very fortunate at GB Taekwondo, where we've been allowed to train due to our elite athlete exemption. It's been very organized and very grateful for that. But across the world, I know that is not the case for everybody. Plenty of quarantine and lack of access to facilities. Another thing that nobody's really mentioning is the qualification situation. Half of the athletes have still not been able to qualify due to the COVID pandemic. So that's massive in itself. I believe the boxing qualification, the tournament got halfway through, half the athletes qualified, then they had to cancel the tournament last year. So there's half of the boxers still waiting to know what's going on. And that's not just boxing, that's across all the sports. So there's a lot of things to clear up in this 4 months before we get to Tokyo.
And just very briefly, you've got 4 months now to prepare. How are you feeling? Are you feeling gold medal fit?
I'm feeling very, very fit. Yes, bronze in London, silver in Rio, and I'll let you finish. Well, the only medal I'm chasing in Tokyo is that gold medal. It's been difficult. It's been hard to focus, to maintain focus, but thankfully I've got a wonderful team around me. Gary Hall's a tremendous leader, great coaches, great athletes, and we've all helped each other to get to this point. So I'm feeling gold medal fit, and I can't wait for the opportunity to get back on that podium. And on top this time, because I want to be #1.
Well, you sound so positive, and we wish you all the best in Tokyo. Latela Mohammed, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much for having me, and I'm always positive.